Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Cosmic Valkyrie podcast. I'm here today with Lezly Kaye, and I want y'all to know that we have never met. We are all meeting in real time today because of a post that she did that really caught my attention, and I wanted to talk more about it. And so I did a little research and investigation through your profile, your group. I've been following along with that since we decided to do this call, but I'm so excited about it. First, I just want to hear a little bit about you, maybe your journey, who you are, what you do, who you serve, so that my audience can get to know you.
I would love to. I'm Lezly Kaye. I'm a business and relationship coach. I serve women in business predominantly. My mission is I don't want women to live half lives or accept half loves. And our business is such a conduit for our evolution, for our growth, and it can be such a nurturing experience. But so often we're taught that we have to hustle and grind, and really we can't enjoy our life or our business if we sort of follow that old paradigm. I also want to say I'm very grounded in that belief. I don't believe in hustle culture, but you need good systems and processes, and you need a solid infrastructure in order to have a nurturing business. Oh, my story. I founded and scaled multiple eight-figure companies. So I had a $60 million business. I had a $20 million business. The short version of that story is the $60 million business was basically stolen from me. It was my first business venture that I went into. I was young, I was naive. I had some masculine wounding, so I kept attracting men that were screwing me over. And the man that I started that business with actually never lodged the shareholders agreement. So I got the business to 60 million in turnover. I asked him for my dividends, and basically he was like, "What dividends?" Yeah, the 20 million business, I had a spiritual awakening, a spiritual crisis at the helm of a $20 million business with a relationship that was failing. My son would have been 2 at the time. And I failed at that once. I sort of restructured the organization. We were successful. It was a very successful business, made a lot of money. I just grew too quickly because I grew with ego, and I had to restructure the company. I folded that first company with a tax bill. So I talk to people about failure, and oftentimes the biggest fear of failure is closing a business. Let me tell you, I've been there, I've done that, and it's not as scary as people make it out to be.
You know, what's really funny is I made a post yesterday about sharing a little bit of my personal story because it's so when you are an entrepreneur, there's so many layers to it. You can't cover it all, but I was talking about how before I really stepped into this dharma and the business that I have now and the success in it, I had 5 other businesses. It's not like this was my very first one. And I don't know many successful entrepreneurs that didn't have multiple businesses before they really found their higher purpose and what they're here to do. And I hear a lot of women who have gone through having their business stalled, having somebody claim that they're copywritten issues, all kinds of things that are just it's shocking to me. But at the same time, I know that those extreme challenges get us to where we are today. And they're hard to go through, but hard doesn't mean bad. And it actually turns out for the best.
Always.
I know that we are limited in time because we are in completely different time zones and it's evening for you. I have more conversations like these with Aussies than I do Americans, which is hilarious to me
I love
because
that.
we're
And
on.
I
What were you going to say?
sorry, I actually have a podcast later tonight, so do not worry.
Oh, okay.
I love it. I actually spend a lot of my time in America. I love America. I'm there probably once every 3 months at least. So I have a lot of connections in the States, so I'm used to late night phone calls.
Nice. Good. Yeah, well, my BFF lives in Perth. She just moved to Perth about 6 months ago. So from Sydney. So yeah, it's a better time zone, this connection. So you made a post a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, that was saying how, not verbatim, but I'm tired of all the wounded coaches doing high ticket offers. This is something that I have thought about a lot over the course of the past 2 years. It's some high ticket offers is something that I have seen dramatically change since I started my business, which is almost a decade old now. And so when I went online about 7 years ago, high ticket structure was very different to the client journey now. And seeing your post really brought up a bunch of things and reflection on that. And so I wanted to discuss that and how it's changed and how I see the benefits, but also the setbacks within it.
Yes, yes, I would
And
love.
how I miss the old structure.
Oh,
So do you want me to tell you what I saw? Because I think you'll probably see, and I'm talking specifically to online coaching. Okay.
yeah,
So a
please.
lot of my people are healers, hypnotists, coaches, right? So when I have a very successful hypnosis practice, and I just launched my online coaching business about 2 years ago. So when I first started, there was a client journey where people were coming into the space and you would have your baseline offer. People join it anywhere from 2,000 to 3,500. That was kind of the norm. And then people would have the second layer, which is just like a little bit higher investment, which might be going to a live event, 3-day event where you buy the ticket, you buy the airline, and then you get there and, upsell. And then there was the upper echelon, which was considered the mastermind, where that was like the higher ticket investments. I consider high ticket 25, 18, 25, even 10K can be high ticket. So then there was that. So it was growing into the client journey. What I see now a lot in my industry specifically, which is kind of working at I wouldn't consider, I'm a thought leader, not a business coach, but in the business coaching industry, so to speak, is that people's approach now is get into my 10K mastermind, and there's no like client journey. And then like the next logical step is to just re-up that 10K program, right? So that's the change I have seen happen. And specifically, I see benefits and I also see challenges to that. So I want to open up this conversation, and I want you to like pick up like tell me a little bit about that post and where that was coming from for you.
Both my own personal experience and both women that I serve and experiences that they have had. So what I was speaking specifically to was an experience where I guess pain point selling, where I was looking for a solution. And to be fair, there's a lot of shadow for me in this as well. There's a lot of my own desire for quick solutions, for the things that look good rather than feel good. And given that I come from that world, truly, I thought I'd worked through a lot of it. Truly, I thought that I want to say I had a lot more intuition. And it's funny because my post today was something like, is it intuition or is it trauma? And yeah, essentially I was working with a coach who, as a single mother, took my last 25K that I had like to invest to play within my business. I'm a very open, honest person. So it's not like at any part of the journey I was like, I'm rolling in it. I literally was like, this is my last 25K that I have to invest. If I don't make sales, then I can't invest anymore. But it was a 50K package and it was a 6-month deal. So I paid 3 months up front. 3 weeks into that, I was asked to pay more. And I said, look, I don't have any more. And my intention was, my intention was, and before it even happened, I said, look, I don't have the cash, but let's drop back to a monthly payment plan, because based on what you've taught me, so what actually really frustrates me is she's actually really good at what she does. There just was no heart or integrity, or I want to say that there's an advertisement of heart-led leadership, and then the heart cuts off as soon as the money cuts off. So I'd paid for 3 months in advance. I'd had 3 weeks. I asked for an extension on the remaining 3 months. So she hadn't even given me the 3 months that I'd paid for in advance. And essentially the response was, if you don't pay me the money today, this coaching agreement comes to an end. Knowing full well that, you know, I'm a single mother, I have no family, I have no other way of getting money except for the deals that were in the table. And this is what I said to her. I was like, I'm actually perplexed right now because you know my pipeline. You're working with me on my pipeline. By the end of July, I will have 100K, which I have. Please explain to me, like, why? Like, please explain to me why you. So she originally offered me a month-on-month payment plan. Again, my ego was like, oh no, I can do this up front. I'm going to close sales sooner than this. Yeah, so that was my experience. That was the, basically I paid for 3 months of coaching and got 3 weeks, and then I was bullied and manipulated and gaslit into trying to pay more. And when I refused to pay more and I stood in my values and my integrity, I was ignored.
You know, I hear this. I think this is so abundant in the business coaching industry. I don't see a lot of this like in personal development or with healers or anything, but I see it running rampant in business coaching. And I'm going to say more women than men. I
So
see
I
it
want
a
to say,
lot.
and do you know what my post was? I'm sick of wounded little girls. So women don't bend women on the way up, little girls do. And for me, that's what it was. And I'm aware enough to know that there had to be a thread for me to hook into. There had to be a desire for me to be the popular girl or the chosen girl, or, you know, whatever that shadow inside of me, or that you know, hook inside of me was, to desire that type of leadership. And it also fueled my fire, because for me, like, I'm highly successful. I'm like, I want to be successful, but I would never in 1,000 years consider treating someone like that. Like, not even my worst enemy, let alone someone that I claim that I'm like partnered with and we're on the journey together with. And, you know, the front end, the marketing, the how you hook people is all about this relationship and partnership. But on the inside, it's actually, well, unless you pay me cash, unless you pay me not even cash for what I've done, it just a very incongruence. And I'm a business coach, like, I'm in this world. Yeah, I think for me, I was just trying to highlight the lack of integrity, the lack of heart. And I also want to say the awareness in other coaches, in like learning my lessons, learning from the parts of me that we're still buying into. You know, I'm very trauma aware. I'm hypnotherapy qualified, NLP, psychedelics, tantra, breathwork, somatics. I'm halfway through an EMDR certification. Like, I know where I'm playing. I'm not naive anymore. And still, it took me a month to be like, actually, hang on, something's off here.
You know, I have had experiences, and I've been talking about this for a couple of years, and especially to my husband. I've had experiences with business coaches. They call themselves business coaches. They're really marketing coaches, making promises to me on one-on-one calls, really like honing in on what they're promising. I'm asking specific questions. I come from a corporate America background, so asking specific questions. I'm really good at identifying my gaps and promising me those things. And then when I get in on a non-refundable program after paying them $25,000, realizing that they're teaching remedial information. And most of the people on that call have not made a dime in their business. This is what I see running through. I've been in masterminds for, 18K. I've been in masterminds for 10K. It doesn't matter. I walk in there and 97% of the people I'm sitting with have not made a dime in their business, and they can't relate to what the coach is trying to tell them. And then they get discouraged. They're out 10K when they're having a challenge, even putting food on their table for their children. I think it's unethical. And I have been told by those coaches, you have to be making this amount in your business to sign in. So I'm like, okay, so if they're asking me of that, then they're asking other people. And then I get in and I realize I'm sitting around with a bunch of people that are not operating on my level. I think a problem in our society is that people view wealth as wisdom when it's just really good at sales.
Yeah.
Because you can be a really good marketer, but not know how to coach people to get those same results. And then you're
Truly.
just really good at speaking to their needs and desires. And I see this so rampant, and there's no middle ground. It's like, that's why I specifically price mine. This is why I say, like, I remember how it used to be, and that's what I enjoy. That's where I feel good about my price points, because I'm not bankrupting people. And I also am able to give them massive transformation in a matter of weeks. And they get me for 3 months. And I know that by the end of it, my like return, I've never had anyone ask me for a return that has shown up and done the work. And like, because I know my value, right? But I'm like, then I can take them on the journey. And then there is like an upper echelon of like high ticket, right? But I'm like, why do people feel the need? And it's always those 10K month coaches.
Yes, I agree. I want to say interestingly, this woman was actually very good at what she did. She just had no heart, but very good at what she did because she knew how to sell. She knew how to market. She knew how to manipulate in a way. And I want to say push the confines. I actually think what the pull for me was is this belief that was ingrained that like nice guys don't win, that there has to be a level of deceit and dishonesty to be a multi-million-dollar business owner. And the versions of me that built and scaled, $60 million businesses did pain point sales, did manipulate, did coerce people to buy. Now, I'm not proud of that. I want to say I was dealing with people. So it was less of like, your mental health is on the line, as in I was just telling, nothing is okay. Let me just rewind. I'm not trying to justify my behavior, but more, I want to say there's less risk involved because I was selling people to people and getting people on jobs on site versus someone that is manipulating people out of maybe the money that's going to pay their rent. Or
I see a lot of narcissistic behavior in marketing coaches. I know that's a sweeping generalization, y'all.
yeah, I don't like to label things or people, and also I truly think we all have narcissistic tendencies. I truly do. I think everyone has the capacity to define what you mean by narcissist, because narcissism to
Clinically.
me, yeah, okay, clinically,
Okay,
yeah.
and I only say that because I know there are thousands of really wonderful marketing coaches, and I have had some, right? I have also had some of the worst of the worst. I think that the challenge in our industry, in the coaching industry, is that it's so unregulated. And in the United States, we have very strict guidelines on talking about trauma, on talking about your financial results. Like, It's highly illegal to say that you're making multiple six figures if you are not. But people don't pay attention to rules and regulations so much anymore in this industry, and they just like blatantly will come out and talk about transformations that they haven't had. And I think that in the general population, they're operating at the first level of thought, which is thinking.
Mm.
So they're easily persuaded because they're already operating in flight, fight, or freeze. And so they're like desperate for resolution. And then they're looking to people for the answer instead of and I've been there. Hands up. That's been me. That was me a majority of my life. Right. But then I have also noticed in many of these programs, this is why I say wealth doesn't equal wisdom, is that people get into these programs and then I quickly see this shift into hero worshiping. And
Mm,
the leader on the other side of that doesn't know, one, how to stop it
mm.
and put the power back into the client's hands. And so it escalates into even more ego coming out of that coach than compassion.
Yes.
And it's not that they're a bad person, so to speak. It's just that they haven't done the work and they're not living within their own personal dharma, meaning our dharma in this life is our own personal evolution. So they get the money and they keep getting the money and then they're maintaining the money, but they're not doing the inside job.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that. And I feel this hiding in their own self-awareness. Like I have enough self-awareness to know what to say and do and partially feel, but they're lacking like a level of depth and truth to the places that they're looking inside of themselves. And I just want to touch on this like guru piece. It's interesting. I kind of knew I was different when one of my first courses, my final class was I'm not your guru, and every part of power or pedestaling or anything that you've given me inside of this 12 weeks we've walked together, like in this moment I'm giving it back to you. And I
Love
think
it.
that's the difference in what I sense in this leadership style is like some people want to feel powerful in the way that they lead and feel that it's not that people want to be like it's that being the thought leader or the innovator in the ways that they work isn't enough. It's like they always have to be one step ahead. They always have to be the one driving their client's success or their client's growth, and there isn't a capacity to go, this has nothing to do with me and everything to do with you. And I think that is a differentiator, is like I don't want the responsibility actually of being your saver or your guru or the fucking magic that makes your life change in what way. Um, no, thank you. But I will help facilitate you realize your brilliance. I will help facilitate the educational gap and the wisdom gap in you becoming the version of you that's going to be able to actualize what you want. And I think there's this contrast in leadership of the way in which people seek power, and the way in which people seek partnership or collaboration and how they actually enact that with the people they're in relationship with.
So when you're reflecting on the wound, obviously the woman has a lot of wounds that was operating from that. Like one thing that comes up with me is that uh the power that we give away to money. And I'm always telling my audience, it's not getting rich for getting rich sake. It's getting rich to give yourself options and opportunities and a better quality of life and whatever that looks like to you. Right. So if you want a Bentley in the driveway, that's cool. I like our 1800s colonial fixer upper, right? Like we get to determine what our $1 million life looks like. So when you're looking at the personal wounds of these people and like You already know this. Like, it's all about love. It's all about not judging somebody. We judge people. Come on, we're human. That's what we do. Judge good or bad. We always do, right? But we let go of that judgment. Our logical brain just wants to attach to it. But I often, how do you feel about these personally feel about high ticket offers that are being made? Because 80%, I don't know about worldwide, but I would assume it's the same. We had a study done, 80% of all coaches, which includes healers, all that, are making less than 10K a year. That's why I'm like, I cannot charge 10K for my entry level program. I'm sorry. Like, I got to get you to a point where you can afford that.
Yes, yeah.
How do you feel about high ticket offers
I'm a high
in
ticket
general?
coach. I'm a high ticket coach. And
But you
I will,
also, I will say this because I did do my research. You market to women that have the money. You market, your specific marketing plan is about women that have gotten to the where they are financially through hard work and hustle. So you were marketing to who I was 7 years ago,
yes,
right?
yes.
And there's a big difference.
And I also want to say, because I was relieved actually at the beginning when you said the way it used to be and the way you think it's returning, because interestingly, my coach fucked me over and I had a new coach inside of 4 weeks. So I just want to actually say this as well. Like, there's no part of me that blames the industry or like wants to blame coaching or is like, well, I've been screwed over once. I take my self-responsibility in that relationship. I take my lessons in that relationship. I spent 4 weeks to actually sit with how I walked myself there, because I walked myself there, not
Mhm.
her. And then I was like, cool, I need a new coach because I can identify the lessons that I learned here. Next time I'm hoping there's no price tag attached to my lessons. And I went and found a coach that was heart-centered. I took longer to hire them. I asked deeper questions. I spoke into my desires and beliefs and my pain, and watched them witness how they held me in my projections as well. And I'm very aware, like, I know when I'm in projection, but I also want to identify there's always a thread of truth in every form of projection, because we couldn't have the projection if there wasn't a thread of truth. It's just up to us to discern how much truth's in it. Anyway, so I actually changed all of my structures based on this experience. And maybe this is why I had this experience.
I did the
Because
same thing because of my experience.
because I wanted to be like, okay, cool. I am a high ticket coach, and I want to, the pain that I felt, I was speaking to women that had experiences where they paid $25,000 for 3 months of coaching, where there was no strategy, there was no structure. It was just the transmission from a woman. And basically, when they questioned her about not having value, she was like, if you're not smart enough to make money by being in your presence, that's your problem.
Oh my,
Is the
I've been
gist of it.
there.
I'm
I've been
ad-libbing,
there.
but I'm ad-libbing. I almost died. And it fuels my fire. I'm like, fuck this. Like, if I ever think of quitting, that's the reason why I'm not quitting. Anyway, so with all these experiences, listening to the market, listening to the women, I actually changed to tiered structure, where my entry level is in Aussie dollars, like only $850 a month.
Oh,
Um,
that's not bad at
yeah,
all.
yeah. So my evergreen's like $5,000, which is, or
Oh,
pre-record,
that's
you
not
don't
bad
get any
either.
extra. Yeah, in Aussie dollars, so it's like two and a half um
I forget
US.
the conversion, but it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
bad.
it's not bad. And then all the way up to 45,000, and it really just depends on how much money you're making, how
Mhm.
much time you want to spend with me, how much additional stuff you want or need, your capacity for the additional stuff. And the blueprint that I lay out for people on this journey, and you spoke about like the customer journey almost, and the blueprint that we're taking them on, it's literally like, you could start with me at like just being able to afford to invest in a business coach. You have a very extensive library that actually gives you the blueprint to $1 million business if you implement it. And then depending on how fast you grow, you just either get more time with me, get less time with me, and you can move through that customer
Love
journey in
that.
a way that's sustainable. Um, this isn't the first time I've spent this much money on a coach. I will spend this much money on a
It
coach
won't be
again.
the last either,
Yeah,
right?
it won't be the last. My coach is 50K a year. Like it won't be the last. I'm not afraid to invest. And
Mhm.
I want to, yeah, like echo what you were saying in that I think the customer journey, the expectations, I hear a lot of this, and it's why we have these conversations where the industry has been so, I want to say, feral for so long. And it's like now it's like, okay, enough's enough. And there's a maturity, I want to say, that is coming through some women in the space. That's my projection judgmental hat on. And in that maturity, I feel there is okay, how do we have businesses that are sustainable? How do we have businesses that aren't ego led? How do we have businesses that we can scale so we do still make 7 figures a year, but not in a way that is at the expense of the people that we're serving?
Unethical.
Yeah, and I
Mhm.
think this is the change. I think this is the the way in which coaching will return to.
Okay, so I know you're a little cosmic too, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm
I think about like the last 3 years, five years maybe, and the direction that led up to it and what I see shift in the age of Aquarius, like
oh yes.
since the end, like how everything was, it was like, okay, so I observe a lot. And even though this is a very big industry, I know a lot of, I watch a lot of um business coaches and what they're doing so I can like partner up. And because I'm not a strategist, I'm not a business strategist, right? So I like to be able to have a Rolodex of ethical coaches. I'm like, good, got a new one, right? But I saw the hero worshiping, I saw cult behaviors, I saw people charging high ticket to take people's personal power and put it in their pocket. And so I watched that and I started talking about it a couple years ago and I got pushback. I got so much um trolling and stuff in my DMs. I've been talking about it the whole time, but when we moved into the age of Aquarius, I have noticed the shift that people are like, oh my God, I found myself in a program of 3,500 people and I had invested, 20K to be like surrounded by the cult gaze, um, and I see a lot of it, but it's all like TikTok, Facebook's not as good about it, but I see it a lot on TikTok, some on Instagram, like the curtain being pulled back on these issues within the coaching world and how to identify making a better choice. And what I heard from you is the thing that shifted for you going from that experiencing the challenged experience into the next coach. Yeah, we're all always going to have coaches and we're always going to pay high ticket, right? So that I agree with that. I did the same thing, but what I heard is you, instead of purchasing out of an unknown desperation, because a lot of the times when we're operating at a level of awareness or a consciousness, we believe that we're making a better decision. I did the same thing and I jumped into it because I was following my intuition. It was just looking for the next piece. I can honestly say that,
Me too.
but um like reflecting on, like, really find your gap, like talk to them. And especially when you're looking at business coaches, like they should be able to identify where you are in your lead generation to sales and find that gap and know if they're the answer, right? Knowing that, but also like being self-aware and understanding like where those pains were, and you took time to really dive into that and reflect on what made that decision, how you felt during that process, and being let go from it before you made the next decision, and having better questions. Can I ask you like what type of questions you were asking? Because I think that would be real great insight.
Yeah. Hmm. I actually asked her to explain what she meant by heart-led leadership. I asked her to explain like the value of relationships to her. And I actually started to listen, like rather than just like, yeah, 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 can you solve my problem? Can you help me make money? I was like, okay, I can witness that she has the capacity to help me make money, but it's less about the money now and more about how I'm feeling in this relationship. Um, she actually invited me to speak about my experience and didn't shame me in it, didn't blame me in it, and also didn't like bag out the other coach. And it's interesting because I want to say my post wasn't for the intent to like bag out the other coach. Like, yes, there was some fire in it, and there is a passion from me because I fucking hate people getting ripped off.
I do
Like
too.
I can't, like I'm like raised by drug addicts and a struggling family, and like I'm just like, just don't be an asshole. Like it's not hard. Anyway, so I want to say, yeah, I judged her character more. The first decision I made, I was judging her capacity to help me make money.
Mm.
And I should have known because 2 weeks in, someone said to me, they didn't even know I was working with this woman. Someone said to me, "You're going to be the next so and so." And my immediate internal response was, "Yes, but with more heart."
Ooh.
And I should have known at that point that there was an incongruency because I was already feeling it. I was already feeling it. But she was getting me results. So at that point, I'd only paid her for like a short course. When I was like, "No, I'm getting results here. I'm just going to invest more because I want more money. I want more results."
Mm. Mm.
I wasn't looking at like the same as if you go into relationships. Who cares if it's just good sex if it's not actual intimacy? So
What
yeah,
I hear, let me just clarify, and I love this. This should be a aha moment for everyone listening. You were asking things that were in alignment to your own personal values. So
yes, yes,
really identifying your personal values and reflecting on what's important to you and making sure that that coach mirrors those values.
yes. And
That's huge.
I know my values. I coach
Mhm.
to
You're
values.
right.
I also want to say, like the woman that I'm working with now onboarded me on the weekend. And I didn't expect her to. And I don't like boundaries are a big thing. And I actually questioned her on this. I was like, why are you onboarding me on a weekend? Like this is very like this seems obscure and I'm big on boundaries. I mean, I reply to DMs on weekends and stuff. And she's a single mom and I'm a single mom. And she was like, Lezly, like this is my dharma. This is my business. Like I have a business that's flexible. So if I've got space, I'm not going to say no. Because if I was busy, I wouldn't. She was like, but I was doing content for the business anyway. Like of course I'm
Exactly.
going to answer a call. And it was
And
like,
everyone has a different weekend. My weekend is not Saturday, Sunday. My busiest days are Saturday and Sunday because of my hypnosis practice, right? So everyone, because those are a majority of people that are referred to from therapists and psychologists and stuff like that. So they're all referral based for the most part. And so those, and my husband's a chef, so he's working weekends. I'm like, these are great days for me to work. Monday and Tuesday, I'm a little bit more structured, but at the same time, we have created the time and financial freedom. And at the beginning of our business, we had to learn how to be that flexible, but we also had to learn how to prioritize time off. And
and to
when you're
have
a
boundaries.
single mother, that
Yes.
time off is precious, but it doesn't always have to happen on a weekend.
No, no. So yeah, that was that actually was one of the first indications. And I was like, oh, like we can do it on Monday. She was like, no, it's all good. She was like, I've blocked out some time for my work anyway. Let's just do it now.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like
So
our conversation. I was like, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to take my husband to work because he has epilepsy, he can't drive. And I'm like, I'll just be around. I don't care when we do it. Like we can find that time because
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not going to be getting into my office until like 9, right? But
So
that's
yeah, it was that. It was just I felt more of a I wasn't afraid to ask more, yeah, values-based personal questions and really align. It was also, is she the type of leader that I want to be? Now I was more concerned with modeling, like, one of the questions that I asked at the breakdown of this relationship with this other coach when we started to have some heated conversations was like, I'm really just curious as to the type of leadership we're modeling here, because that's more important to me in this moment in time than the money. But like, I really just want to know, like, what leadership are we modeling here? Because if I'm learning from you, I'm modeling the same type of leadership, and like, I can't stand for this type of leadership. So how am I ever going to like continue this relationship? So yeah, it very much came down to
I love
values.
that. It's true, and in this age of Aquarius, it's about stepping into your own uniqueness, right? It's about identifying what makes you unique and valuable and worthy and all that good stuff, but also on that global scale, like how am I supposed to help humanity? How am I supposed
Yeah,
to show up as I am? There's no authenticity in this energy anymore. It's all about being who you are in that moment and just like knowing that your soul clients are going to come your way and trust that. I
truly,
love it.
truly.
I know that it's getting late. So, um, let's just wrap it up. I want you to share like where you want me to funnel people to get to know you more.
Please, link at LinkedIn. I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn, but Instagram is the best place.
Perfect.
I'm the most active on there. Slide into my DMs. You can see all of my offers on there. Yeah, at Lezly Kaye. Look at the comments to figure out how to spell my name. It's different. So yeah, I'm
And
sure
I
there'll
will
be.
have the link to your Instagram in here as well. This has been amazing. And I just can't wait to watch and get to know you more on Facebook and Instagram myself, because this was our first introduction.
It was, and thank you
And
so much for inviting me into this conversation.
I love it. And everyone who's listening, remember that the wait list is open now for Evolution 10X Mastermind. So go ahead and get on the wait list for that and be the first to know when the doors open. Love and light, everyone. Love and light.